Thank you very much. As I was announced, I work at SET Polska team for nearly 12 years, and it is part of NASK, who is a co-organizer of this conference. I was made aware that the topic of my presentation may be not quite understandable, so I'll take 1 minute of your time and will explain what is the spam term coming from. That maybe will entertain you a little bit, but I think we have a problem with sound. Okay. This is how our email account looked like a few years ago. It was quite difficult to get anything free of spam. Original version was just like a processed meat, a canned meat. Right now, spam written in capital letters is a canned meat. Spam, which is in lowercase, is the one which refers to unsolicited message. So what are we talking about? What is spam all about? Our email account, which is filled with all kinds of unwanted messages, instant messaging communicators, just like Skype. It is also quite easy to find a random user and send an unwanted message to him. Another contentious example, some quizzes or games which are sent to your Facebook profile. Generally speaking, yet another media of communication or information exchange where we had unwanted messages. This is another social portal, Pinterest, which is gaining popularity recently. I will come back to it later. But the idea was that adverts were put on the billboard of the users. Somebody was earning money on it. If a user was clicking on such a message, not realizing that this is an advertisement, and a provider would earn money. SMS, so all kind of electronic channels, chat rooms, also chat rooms in online games. And this is the spam which we mentioned at the beginning. When it comes to the definition, the basic problem when it comes to an attempt to define spam in legal terms was whether to treat spam as something which should be penalized. Any unsolicited commercial message or just a commercial correspondence, unsolicited commercial email or unsolicited bulk email. So any commercial correspondence which is, well, any correspondence, irrespective whether it's commercial or not. It is a very important differentiation because, as I'm going to show, spam is not only advertising. So combating it is not easy. In Poland, we have quite an unfortunate definition of an unsolicited commercial correspondence, but it is not very useful. The definition is not good, and the enforcement is not very effective. Also, trying to penalize the perpetrators is far from perfect. When combating spam, companies are using various tricks. Recently, large corporations, both owning some brands or such companies like Microsoft, so software providers, they are keen to combat spam, and they are using various tricks. Unfair competition, this is not a very successful approach, but infringement or violation of logos. If spam is sent from computers with viruses, that can be considered a hacking activity. So the spam perpetrators are being persecuted for various other violations, not for spam itself, because we don't have a good definition of spam. Why the spam is generated and sent? Because we may think that this is some useless emails in email accounts. Of course, money is the answer. What is hidden behind it all? The advertising of products, which are quite often illegal or not fully legal. Two biggest businesses which is advertised in such a way is pharmaceuticals or products which are quasi-pharmaceuticals or forged software, false antivirus tools. This is quite a popular business, very profitable, because the cost of manufacturing is next to nil. People would buy it for several dozen dollars. Also, collecting the click farms and producing click farms. Many sales models on the internet is based on the partnership program, so the commission is paid by the number of clicks, in a nutshell. So increasing the number of clicks or luring people to click on a given website is a way to make money. Phone farms on Facebook. So creating websites which are very popular and then sold. Very often the links which we see in spam or the contents of spam can break through the protections of our computer and invade an unwanted guest on our computer, which can do anything, which can, for example, send spam. Recruitment of a person who would be working as a or would operate under the false name. For example, the persons who are not aware of that, who are recruited to the work as a financial consultant or an assistant, who would be transferring the money from one account to another account. The idea is to transfer the money from stolen credit cards or to transfer the money from stolen bank accounts and to transfer the money abroad. We can send it, for example, to the Ukraine. And in 2 months, the police can come knocking at our doors, and we are completely unaware of the fact that we were serving as an intermediary in this business. So all these businesses are quite interconnected and interrelated. I'm not going into the details of it because it is not connected with the conference, but I just wanted to show you how complex the models can be. This is the model which was created during the research of University of San Diego, parapharmaceuticals. And we can see that there is a real business behind it. And in many countries, a lot of money is being made on this kind of business. Let me start with this slide. Why is it profitable? What do you think is the rate of response to a given spam? How many users will click, or how many users will be willing, on average, to buy a product which was advertised in spam? Will it be 1%, 0.5%? It was also a survey done at the University of California, which was based on emails encouraging you to make a purchase worth $100. 1 per 12.5 million. So this is a fraction of a percentage point. It can sound next to nothing. But how do you think, how many emails per day can be generated by a computer network which is used by by spam providers? 300 millions? 1 billion? 300 million? About 80 million. When we multiply it by the response rate per $100, when the commission is usually at the level of 10 or 20%, let's assume it will be 20%, it gives you $1,300 per day, with the cost of up to $10,000 per month. Of course, if you invest in being anonymous. And these are quite conservative estimates. This is the amount of money that these people can easily earn. This is an excerpt from the interview. I believe it will be in your conference materials, so I'm not going to read it. An excerpt from the interview with a spammer who was putting the adverts on a social networking service. He realizes and he confirms that this business is going to come to an end at some point. It's just a matter of time. But in the first week, he was earning $2,000, then more than 1,000 per day. And he has no remorse. He doesn't feel guilty. For him, this is just another business. And he's placing the advertisement as provided by Amazon, and Amazon was paying for that. Now, let us talk about the mechanism and why spam is effective. Let's debunk some myths about an email. When an email comes to us from a certain address, we have a link in this email message, but there's a lot of space for social engineering in it. Let us think which information is easily verifiable, which can be easily forged. Here there is no doubt. Even email software detected it was a spam. But let's start with a topic. We can put anything in a topic of an email message. What about a sender? Can we forge it? Is it difficult? No. And this field doesn't matter at all. It is treated just as a subject or content of an email. This is just like on the envelope, a return address. Nobody is checking it. So the information who sent an email is in a completely different place. But I don't want to get into the details. Let's remember that the information in the sender field is treated exactly the same as all the other fields. You're a bit worried, aren't you? Also, the recipient, well, it can be anything. It is also used in case of social engineering, because it sometimes happens that we get an email which was supposed to get to someone else. For example, an email to a director and the list of, or the pay list. But then it makes us open it. This field also doesn't matter. The information where it should go in reality is somewhere else. This is just a text field. You can put anything in it. So don't believe it. How can we, where is the email address leaking from, and how to protect from it? The most popular form of collecting the address is harvesting on websites with the use of automated scripts. If our address appears in publicly available place, it is available to anybody. So an automated device or software can harvest it. The second thing is the theft of databases. Both physical break-in to a physical location when we have a database, or buying such addresses or databases from some people. Also viruses. Our friend who has our email address has a virus who is collecting all interesting information, including the email addresses. So if we start receiving suspicious emails, especially when we see the names of other friends, it should ring some bells, and we should try to sensitize the person which we suspect is the source. Sometimes we get a spam from a person who has an infected PC. She's a sender, we are a recipient, and she's unaware that she or he is sending such an email. Let's just tell this person that she may be a source of an unwanted email. What about Facebook? I've already shown you some applications which are placing spams on Facebook. This is a recent example from a board of my friend. If you click on Resting in Freedom, Morgan Freeman, if we see in a message that somebody clicked it very recently, and we are tempted to read more, we click on it, and very often it turns out, first of all, Morgan Freeman is still alive. He's okay. He leaves and he's not clicking. This is what it says under the photo. Sometimes it is enough to click such a website or this link, and it adds it to our board. So over several minutes, it may be several hundred persons who will add this website or this link to our profile. At the end of the day, this website can do anything. It can install a malicious software. Something which may seem not to be connected with that. Very often in this kind of links distributed, be it by email or Facebook, we saw the content which was quite controversial or was erotic. For example, an actor which is stripping or an actress which is stripping. You can only see it here, and that leads us to a website which is similar to YouTube, but it requires to install an additional plugin or downloading additional software. Or, for example, we need to register some file, but that was very suspicious. And right now it is even more ingenious to make it more credible. So we need to install a plugin to a browser. Something is downloading. The problem is that such a plugin is a perfect carrier for any dangerous things. It can be doing some things for us on our Facebook profile. It can place posts. It can do many things. So let's sensitize the person that we think is the source, that there may be something wrong with his or her profile. I would say many more things about Facebook, but the two messages are as follows. One is good. On Facebook, you can reach everything and check everything, what we like, what we don't like, what we want to disclose and to whom, but the bad messages that it is not very intuitive and it changes every month. So even if I showed you what you should click, in a month time probably it would change. And it's very frustrating even for me, who is very internet savvy. And in case of an average user, it is even more difficult to follow. So it's not so nice, and we don't have enough time to give you the full briefing. So let me summarize. What are the myths and what are the facts about the spam? The myth is that spam is just an uncomfortable feature, that we have something which we can filter, and we think that usually this is our provider who is taking care for that and filters it out. Another myth: do not open an appendices from people who we do not know, and we'll be fine. It's no longer valid because it is enough to click. The most important thing is that we tend to forget that it is also messages from our friends and colleagues who can infect us. We never know who is the original source in case of email or instant messaging. In case of social portals, we're at least able to verify that it was sent from the profile of a given person who published it, which testifies to her or him having a problem. In case of Facebook, if we are not the experts, we cannot say for sure whether it was this person who sent it. And it's not easy to be combated or tackled. It is obvious that organized crime groups are involved. Very intelligent people are working and generating spam. They are changing their methods. They are adjusting to enforcement strategies. They are responding very quickly, and this is a cat and mouse game which will continue. So spam is a huge business, and we just see a tip of an iceberg. What is important is that spammers are quite skillful at using the social relations between various accounts or portals or profiles. Even the content of our correspondence with our partners can be a good source for the information for the spammers. The messages which are emotional are most effective. So, for example, an information about somebody's death, catastrophe. And we know that, for example, if we had a Smolensk catastrophe, there were emails which were generated by spammers using the context of this catastrophe. Also, erotic messages are quite effective for spammers. And if something looks too beautiful to be true, for example, an offer that you've just inherited a lot of money or just won a lot of money on the lottery, is probably not true. Let's think twice before we immediately click. So the first thing I usually do when I have a suspicious piece of information, I just check it. So let's try to filter it through our common sense. And this would be it. We could talk for hours about it. Thank you very much.